My younger sister, Trisha, stole my 7-year-old daughter Hannah's hard-earned money, her small, precious savings, and squandered it on shiny, flashy gifts for her own children. She shamelessly told my daughter, "They deserve it more." And my own parents, as always, sided with her. I didn't make a scene, no, I did. A full 3 hours later, her well-organized, false life began to crumble like a house of cards. A week before the family reunion, I noticed a strange, disturbing change in my daughter, Hannah. She was quieter, clutching her small savings box as if it were a priceless treasure, as if she were afraid someone would snatch it. I took it as innocence, a strange childhood attachment, but I had no idea what a terrible deed lay beneath. When I arrived at the family barbecue that Saturday, I thought the worst thing I could endure would be Dad's burnt burgers. I didn't realize I was walking into a massive staged betrayal. Trisha has always been a drama queen, but this time she's gone all out. She's invited everyone in, as if she were hosting a press conference, not a simple backyard party. I stood aside with my husband, Neil, my eyebrows furrowed in disbelief. She started handing out gifts. They weren't small, hospitable gifts, but rather ostentatious displays she had no right to buy. Brand new, expensive sneakers for son Logan, a dazzling tablet accessory for daughter Stella. People whispered, astonished. Just a month ago, Trisha had been calling me crying because she couldn't pay the bills. And now she was carrying ostentatious shopping bags as if she'd won the lottery. Neil leaned toward me, his voice thick with doubt. Since when can she afford all this? And then came the moment that made my stomach churn. She handed Hannah a small, neatly wrapped package, with a smile so sweet it sent shivers down my spine. "Something for my niece," she said loudly, making sure every relative could hear. Everyone looked at my daughter. Hannah accepted the gift, but didn't tear it open like her cousins. She simply held it in her lap, her tiny hands tugging at the paper, her eyes fixed painfully on the grass. "Come on, darling. Open it," I whispered anxiously. She nodded, lips tightly pursed. A cold shiver ran down my spine. But Trisha's humiliation wasn't over yet. She pulled out the last envelope and handed it to our parents with great love. "A spa day for the two of you, massages, treatments, the whole package." The crowd was amazed. My mother's hand went to her chest as if she'd just been crowned queen, and my father smiled like a man 10 years younger. Mom leaned proudly across the table. "We're so proud of you, Trisha." I felt a fire in my neck. And right on cue, Trisha turned to me. "And Andrea," she said, tilting her head. "What did you bring?" All conversation stopped. Everyone's eyes focused on me. Honestly, I was forbidden. Trisha herself had said, "Andrea, don't bring gifts." I stammered in the harsh silence. My cheeks burned. My heart raced, and Trisha leaned back, a satisfied, faint smile tugging at the corner of her lips. She had orchestrated this. She was humiliating me in front of everyone. And Hannah, my sweet, always cheerful Hannah, was clutching that package as if it weighed 100 pounds. Something was terribly wrong. I could see it in her narrowed eyes. At the time, I didn't know where Trisha had gotten the money, but when I found out, she quickly understood what it was like to be left behind by my child. 3 hours later, her life began to fall apart. If you'd only seen the barbecue, you might have thought it was a bad day, but you'd be wrong. That day wasn't an accident. It was the natural, bittersweet end of something that had begun long before Hannah was born. Trisha was 3 years younger than me, and from the day she arrived, the rules were different for her. When she took my toys, Mom would say, "Be a big sister." When she broke them, Dad would shrug. "You have to take care of that." When she cried, she got it. When I asked, I was told to wait. And as we grew up, this continued into adulthood, as if it were Trisha's birthright. She would call me frantically. "Andrea, my card was declined at the grocery store. Can you send $60 via Venmo?" Or, "I need your credit card number to order baby clothes." She never gave me money back immediately, and even if I dared, she'd say, "You earn more than me. You can afford all this." I kept falling for her, out of habit, guilt, or maybe because I'd been told for years that I was responsible, I felt it was my job to take care of her. This was reflected in our parenting style. Trisha was always showing off with Logan and Stella, new gadgets, brand name sneakers, anything to make them look good in front of others. Neil and I made a different choice for Hannah. We wanted her to understand the value of money. Whenever she received cash gifts, we let her choose a small item and put the rest in her jar. Half to spend, half to save. Hannah loved it. By the age of 7, she had saved $1,651.26. She could tell you the amount down to the penny. She was proud of the jar, and she inadvertently bragged about it, giving Trisha the correct information. Yes, absolutely. This part of your story is an explosive mix of emotion and action. I would make this passage longer, more detailed, and more powerful, emphasizing the extreme drama, the intense emotional resonance, and Marina's unwavering resolve. So when Trisha arrived at the barbecue with the shopping gals, I should have connected her sudden wealth with Hannah's strange behavior right then and there. But I was blind, because in my mind, Trisha had another empty dream, the London lie. A year earlier, Trisha had come to me, her eyes shining like a Hallmark movie star. Andrea, I got in an acting school in London. Instead of laughing, I tried to believe her childhood dream, that she would be free from bills and children, and that she would succeed and give me money. I was foolish, but I felt her poison knife when she said her unstable career was because she couldn't pursue her passion. When her husband, Chad, refused to pay, I intervened. I took money from my years of savings, increased my salary, and even took out $40,000 of home equity. I risked my financial security so she could have the freedom to pay for her tuition, house, and foreign travel in my name. I did this because I felt that if she succeeded, it would all be worth it. But gratitude isn't in Trisha's vocabulary. While she was in London, rumors of humiliation consumed her. Andrea is paying the price. Instead of feeling grateful, she felt humiliated. She felt I'd undermined her. So, when she came home, she staged a grand revenge drama. That barbecue wasn't about generosity. It was a public display. Every lavish gift she gave Logan and Stella echoed her own. Look, I pay for my children. The package she shoved into Hannah's hands was a cruel reminder. Look, I spoil my niece too. And the spa day voucher she gave to Mom and Dad was the icing on the cake. I'm the generous one. I'm the success story. And me? I stood there, unprepared, feeling like a miserly sister. Whispers rang out, and my sweet, proud, little saver, Hannah, sat there holding a gift she'd bought with her own money, while I was in ignorance. Hannah was always easy to understand. She didn't have a poker face. When she was happy, her eyes would sparkle. When she was sad, the world would stop. So when she took Trisha's gift at the barbecue and sat down as if it were a brick in her lap, I knew something was terribly wrong. No smile, no sparkle, just a little girl withdrawn into herself. I followed her into the house and found her sitting on the sofa, her head bowed, shoulders hunched forward. Sweetheart, I whispered. Are you okay? Her chin trembled. I don't want it, she whispered. Then she said something so deadly that I froze in place. I just want my jar back. My face remained firm, but inside, a storm raged. She said Trisha had called her a liar when she boasted about her jar. She said Trisha smiled at first, offering false praise. But then she said, That's a lot of money, Hannah. Well done. And then she twisted the knife. But Logan and Stella don't have that much. They need it more. Hannah's innocent eyes stared into mine. I told Trisha no, but Trisha leaned in and whispered, Good kids help the family. If you don't share, you're selfish. When Hannah still refused, Trisha delivered a final, brutal blow. If you can't spend it, you don't deserve it. Your cousins deserve it more. Hannah's lips trembled. So I let her take everything. Everything. Every dollar. And she told me not to tell you. She said if I did, I'd turn against my family. I should be proud, but I wasn't. I felt wrong. And then I thought, maybe I'm to blame for feeling bad. I hugged her tightly, careful not to let my voice falter. She needed my composure, not my anger. This audacity, this cruelty of convincing a child that she was selfish for saving her savings, it was exactly the game Trisha had played with me all my life, guilt disguised as virtue. Only this time, she aimed low and struck hard. I didn't make a scene. I didn't turn the tables. I did what my parents had never done for me. I took my daughter's hand, found Neil across the lawn, and we left, no goodbyes, no explanations. Let Trisha bask in her applause a little longer. Let her think she'd won. Arriving home, Hannah placed the gift on the table with trembling hands. It's not even my size. It's for Stella. That was a solace. The final insult. That night, after Hannah fell asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. I acted in a silent, clinical final way. I opened the account containing the $40,000, years of savings, home equity, that I'd set aside for Trisha's London lie. It was the money that had empowered her to break into my daughter's jar. I held the keys, not with suspicion, but with clarity. I transferred every penny back to my account. Then I removed my name from every tuition, every housing agreement, every paper I'd signed to help her. No message, no explanation. She'd know soon enough. I sat in the dark and listened to the humming of the refrigerator. I thought of Hannah, asking if saving was bad for her. And I thought of Trisha, smiling across the picnic table. I'd spent my whole life enabling my sister, but the day she hurt my daughter, I cut the umbilical cord. For me, it was all over. For her, the storm had just begun. For a few days after the barbecue, there was silence from the outside. It seemed as if nothing had changed. But this calm was the calm before the storm. Yes, absolutely. This is the story's ultimate emotional and decisive turning point. I would make this passage longer, more detailed, and more powerful, emphasizing the explosive drama, the unwavering resolve, and the ultimate redemption. Trisha had outdone herself, and Andrea couldn't bear it. Let them believe I'm ashamed. Because the truth was, I was waiting for that concrete, inevitable moment when my sister would finally realize her lifeline had been cut. It didn't take long. The first message came on Tuesday morning. Hey, can you make a transfer? Something's wrong with the tuition account. I stared at the screen, years of frustration boiling inside me. For years, I had done everything to help her, sending money, giving up my every need. This time, I typed just one line. It's not a mistake. I won't pay anymore. No smiley face, no explanation, just the unwavering, naked truth. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Trisha's voice was hoarse and raspy. What are you talking about? Did something go wrong? I'll fix it. Is it about the barbecue? I almost laughed, a laugh of bitter self-knowledge. About the barbecue? I wish. Do you know why? I said flatly. Then she adopted a new tactic, her voice filled with feigned anger. Oh my God. Is this about that stupid jar? Andrea, are you really saying that? It was worth $1,600. I'll return it. It's nothing. I said firmly. You stole from my daughter. Don't be ridiculous. I was teaching her to share. I hung up. That should have been enough. But Trisha never knew when to stop. 2 days later, she was at my door. Her makeup was smudged. Her hair was a mess. Clear signs of panic. She had an envelope in her hand. Take it, she said, shoving it toward me. This is the money. Take it. I didn't budge. Don't give it to me, I said. Give him the money and apologize. Her face flushed, but she slowly walked into the living room. Trisha grabbed the envelope as if it were a dead rat. Here, she muttered. Sorry. Hannah didn't even look at her. She took the envelope, stood up, and walked into her room with unwavering dignity. The silence that followed was so deep it made my throat clench. Trisha turned to me. There was a final hope in her eyes, as if returning the money had erased everything else. Look, now things are settled. So, everything is fine now, right? You'll keep supporting me. It was for her, I said. For you? It's all over. Her face flushed. You can't do this. You can't just do everything. This is my dream, Andrea. I can't finish school without you. I burst out laughing bitterly, tastelessly. Your dream? I worked for years to make it possible. I even took away my home. And how do you thank me? By humiliating me in front of everyone? By making me feel guilty for saving my daughter? That's the limit, Trisha. And you crossed it. Tears welled up in her eyes. Please don't do this. I will change. I broke off the relationship adamantly. You won't change. If you want to make it happen, pay for it yourself. That's the end of it. I opened the door, and she walked out with trembling hands. The house was quiet after she left, but peaceful. The cord had been cut. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of lightness. But I knew my family. Silence wouldn't last long. Trisha wouldn't take no for granted. Certainly not while waiting for her parents. And I was right. A week later, my parents arrived at my house. Mom's voice had become shrill. Andrea, this is too much. Trisha just started her program. Do you really want to ruin her future because of one small mistake? I kept my voice calm and steady. One small mistake? She put her hand in Hannah's savings jar. Dad waved his hand as if swatting away a fly. It was only $1,600. And Hannah said yes, right? She agreed. My hands tightened on the armrest. It felt like I was 13 again, hearing the same old refrain. Don't be difficult. Only this time, it wasn't about a toy. It was about my daughter's self-esteem. She said yes because she was tricked. I raged. Because she was told that if she didn't say yes, she wasn't a good person. This isn't consent. This is abuse. Mom frowned. You're blowing it out of proportion. Hannah needs to learn to share. No, I said, standing up. Hannah just needs to know that her boundaries matter. She needs to know that I'll protect her. That's my job. I don't want Trisha living out her fantasies with my money. They both stared at me, stunned. Perhaps because for once I hadn't given up. If you want to help her, do it, I said. Sell the house. Take out a loan. Write the check yourself. But I'm done. She'll never get my scent. When they slammed the door shut and left, I stood in the hallway, hands shaking. Not from fear, but from freedom. For the first time in my life, I stood tall in front of them all. A few months went by. I cut off contact with them. No phone calls, no visits. But the news spread quickly. When relatives blamed me, I would answer as clearly as stone. He robbed my daughter's savings. After that, most people stood by me. My parents tried to continue her education, but the London tuition fees were beyond their means, and soon they too began to struggle. The bills piled up. And then came the real turning point. Trisha's husband, Chad, left her. He found out about the jar. He couldn't bear the thought of his wife stealing from a child. He filed for divorce. Trisha tried to continue her program, but it didn't last long. She never completed it. Now she's back in the city, living with her parents. No glamorous degree abroad, no stage lights, just a tough fight for custody of the children and a regular job she hates because if she can't handle it, she risks losing them completely. And Hannah? She's okay. She's saving again. Now she knows it's okay to say no. She knows her mother will always protect her. She hasn't lost her self-respect. She's got it back. So, what do you think? Did I go too far, or not enough? I chose my daughter. Could any true, courageous parent do anything less?